Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Chuck Nunface here. I've got another knife review for you over here. As you can see, I've got a couple knives here on the table. They are the Olamic Wayfarer 247. So, as you can see, I've got a couple of these here. One's in the blue, one's at the green, kind of the purple accents in that somewhat distressed finish. It's called the kinetic rainforest. We'll kind of get more into the finishes and everything else later. But these are a couple knives from a company that I really, really like. All right, so Olamic's been around since, I believe, 2010. They started making fixed blades in Russia with some proprietary Damascus steel blends and everything else. And then in I believe it was 2013, they came to the States and opened up shop with help of ABS Master Smith Mike Vagnino to design their first folder, which was called the Wayfarer Classic. So this is kind of an offshoot and evolution of that full custom, 100% handmade Wayfarer Classic, and this is what's called the Wayfarer 247. And it's more of a mid-tech. It's got some pre-made and some CNC machine parts here, like the scales and hardware and things like that. And blades that, at least at one point, M390 blades that were sourced from Italy. It could have been from a company that they work with there. It might have been Fox Cutlery. I'm not 100% sure. But it may be sourced completely from the United States now. So I am not sure on that. But the owner, or at least the face of the company, is Eugene Solomic. I believe his last name is Eugene. Forgive me if I'm butchering the pronunciation of your last name. But it is a family-run business, and it is they are knife people who run a company and run a company well and really enjoy what they're doing. So I wanted to kind of take a few minutes to talk about these two knives right here. So they are the same model. So they're both the Wayfarer 247. So this is their everyday carry knife. So it's designed to kind of go into that niche of, the knife that you can have in your pocket 24/7. So let me go over some specs here real quick. Bear with me real quick. So got the blade length of about 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches. The handle is going to be about 4.75 or so inches from right there all the way to the end. It's going to have a blade stock thickness of about 0.14, and the weight is going to vary. So completely unmilled scales and things like that, the weight I believe is somewhere around 4.9 ounces total for the knife. Now these are going to weigh in a little bit lighter. I don't have a scale because this is what's called their acid rain pattern. So it's got a lot of different holes milled out to it in a somewhat random pattern. So that's going to reduce weight. I mean, I didn't get it that way to reduce weight. I just thought it kind of looked cool. So and this is their 5-hole pattern. So they're all equal and all chamfered, and they've got the anodization inside the handles like that. In any case, let's do some size comparisons here. So let's see, there is the tried and true Paramilitary 2. That's kind of out of frame there. Let's put it up here. So it's about the same size as the PM2. Once again, that's the KnifeWorks exclusive in M4 and carbon fiber. Another Spyderco here, the Native 5. So it's, it's bigger than the Native 5, but it's not huge. It doesn't dwarf the Native 5 by any stretch there. So we'll do that one. And then here's a knife that it's designed really to kind of be a competitor of, so if you will. And so it's that kind of, we talk about in the knife world, and I think it still holds up to this day, of the holy trinity of knives, okay? The holy trinity of pocket knives, of folders. And so that'd be your Chris Reeve Sebenza, your Hinderer XM18, and your Strider SNG. So really it fits in right with those. And, kind of like if, your big four in heavy metal is going to be Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer. Those are our big three rather, and then you add the fourth, maybe it's Anthrax, maybe it's Testament, something like that. So it kind of falls in. This, I think, could be in the same conversation from a quality standpoint, manufacturing standpoint, and really just ease of everyday carry. So I certainly think it falls into that category. One of the things I really like about these, endless endless customization options. From their website, they boast something like 10 million different options that you can get when you combine their 4 different blade styles, which I'll get into in a second, and then all the different handle finishes, whether you want hole patterns, you want a completely slab side, stone washing, acid washing, milling, inlays, and they've just actually recently started doing more options on inlays. If you check out their website, or if you sign up for the Olamic table and get email alerts on sales and things like that, they have even more inlaid options. They're doing a Damascus and Fordite and things like that. So that's really cool, I think. So, this particular model, the Wayfarer 247, like I say, it falls into that, what a lot of people consider the ideal EDC size of about 3.5-inch blade size. They have some smaller models. They have some bigger models too. So, they've got the Busker, which has been around for a while, and that's a small little front flipper model. It's got probably a 3-inch or 2 3/4-inch blade, something like that. And that's a front flipper, really before front flippers were that much of a thing, in my opinion. They were doing the front flipper with the Busker. They've since released the Whippersnapper, which is kind of a sized up version of the Busker with a couple of different blade styles as well. And of course, you can get all the different options on those. They do the Swish, which is more of a kind of almost a Persian style blade, real fast action, and I'll talk a little bit more on the action on these as well. And then they have the Rainmaker and the Soloist as well, which are Rainmaker's longer and the Soloist is bigger all around too. So kind of get into the the action on these. They are very fast, very snappy openers. They're not that fall shut. They do run on bearings. I believe they're steel bearings. They're not that type of fall shut action. They've got kind of a big detent ramp, so you gotta defeat that detent ramp to get them to kind of fall there. But they don't. Some knife guys, they chase the closing action. That's something that I did, a few years back, because I really like that uber smooth close and it just that glassy feel and that drop shut action. Now, so much it's not something I chase. Generally speaking, I prefer PB washers to bearings, but bearings are something, I certainly don't mind them, but, generally speaking, I prefer a nice opening action to a nice closing, that drop shut closing action that, I think is somewhat starting to fade into the distance a little bit finally, in the knife community. So it's not something that's sought after nearly as much. So yeah, they really, the blades just fly right open. So these two blade styles, of course, this is a Tanto, and it's definitely very much an American style Tanto. It doesn't have that compound grind that you see in a lot of your classic Tanto designs. It's very much an American style Tanto, and I actually really like that a lot. It's all just one grind right there. And it's just, it makes it very simple for sharpening, but it also makes for a really nice cutting experience as well. So I really appreciate that. And then this is what they call their sheep's cliff, which is, kind of a combination of sheep's foot and Warncliffe style blade. So it's got that real nice belly, which is going to help you on a lot of your slicing tasks, an adequate point, and then just a lot of cutting edge that's really just going to help you, cut through any sort of medium and material that you're looking to do. They do have two other blade styles, and from what I gather, they have some more in the works that they're maybe product testing right now or just running through tests. So they did a post a while back, a couple months ago on Instagram about, maybe vote on some new blade styles. And there's a new Tanto style and a new spear point style. And I did see a Bowie style there too. And so I'm a big fan of the Bowie knife. And I would love to see something like that come from them. But as of right now, they do offer 4 blade styles. So of course the Tanto, as you see, the sheep's cliff, they have a harpoon with a recurve in it. And actually this knife here started its life as a spear point. And I ended up doing a blade swap with them. I contacted Olamic and I said, hey, I was kind of thinning out some of my collection. So I ended up selling my other sheep's cliff to a friend of mine on Instagram. And I still had to have the Olamic sheep's cliff in my collection. And I just really never wanted to sell this one. However, I considered doing it because I really thought the sheep's cliff style blade was the type of blade to keep, and I really wanted to have that in the collection, but I didn't want to have 3 of them anymore. So I was kind of thinning it out, and so I've had this knife, I think, since 2019, and I really wanted to keep it. So I ended up contacting Eugene over at Olamic and seeing about doing a blade swap on it. And he was, more than accommodating, as they always are, and was able to get that done for me. And surprisingly, when they sent the knife back to me, I even had my original blade in there too. So should anything happen or I get bored of that, I can always put the old spear point blade back in. Packaging that it comes in, and maybe I probably should have done this first, but it comes in these nice cases, nicely padded in there. So when you get your knife, it's presented to you. You unzip it, you open it up. There's your knife right there. You've got underneath here, you have your certificate of authenticity right there, your COA, and it's got the born on date and all that. So that would be for this knife right here, which is the Wayfarer 247 Tanto number 319T, and 8/18/2021. So that's that one right there. And you also get a key that will work in the proprietary hardware right there. Pardon me, it's like a spanner tool. It looks a lot like their logo, and I don't have one to bring on camera right now, but it works real well. I've got one on my keychain, and just if you need to make a pivot adjustment or break down the knife, you can do it on that. This model here has the pivot collar, so it doesn't require that. It's just got a simple, I believe it's T8 pivot right back there, or T8 screw for that pivot, and then it's just the collars and the unadorned pivot right there. So tons of different options that you can get on these. You can get sculpting in the pivots. You can get sculpting in the back spacers right there. This one's just plain with that wonderful purple anodization. It is a floating back spacer. This you can probably, if I can get my camera to focus to see. So it's got a nice little gap right there. This is that finish is the Kinetic Rainforest. So they spent a lot of time doing these. It's 2 colors. It's like a purple anodization and then a green ano, and it's brushed and worked over, and it gives it that nice matte finish with the purple kind of coming out in the corners and underneath everything. And this is the Kinetic Rain finish right here, and this is older. I think they've kind of changed it. Like I say, this knife's a few years old, so I think they've changed the way they've done, and this one's kind of worn in a little bit from pocket you carry and everything else, but it definitely has that textured look to it, and really it'll kind of pocket stone wash really well over time, as you can see too. So that's that one right there. So I think I've covered pretty much everything. Like I say, I'm a real big fan of these knives, of this model in particular. Like I say, I've owned the Swish. I've owned a few Swishes actually. I've owned a custom Rainmaker that I wish I still had, but I ended up trading a couple years back. And I've actually owned every single blade style of the current offerings of the 247. So as you can see, I have the Tanto, the Sheep's Cliff. I used to have the Spear Point, and I even had the Harpoon at one point, which whoops, sorry about that, folks. Forget that happened, which I even had at one point a few months ago. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to stand up again. But in any case, I've been rambling on for a little bit here. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at ChuckDunface. And let me know what you'd like to see, either there or in the comments down here, and see if we can't make it happen. And yeah, we'll see what we can do in the future here. Thanks a lot.